Okay, looks like my mouse. All right, guys. So, welcome to this live stream. So, I want to welcome everyone to this live stream once again. Yeah. So, basically, we'll just be going through how this trade was executed, and then how much I made, of course, and what I want to use the money for, and also the essence of the trade in a sense, removing the monetary aspect from it. All right. So one of the most important thing you want to know is trading is a life. You can take it as a job. You can either take it as a hobby or you can take it as something you just want to do for the short term. Okay. But for me, I'm in the game for the very long term. I want to make as much money as I can make. I want to have as much experience as I can get. And I want to just try my best to be able to show up every day. I don't know if that makes sense. So, what you want to do during this call is you just want to learn from it. All right, you want to just learn from it. You want to see how everything literally affects every decision you make, how what you do daily actually affects every decision you make, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to waste too much of your time. I'm just going to go straight into the sharing of my screen right now, just to show you what the BTC trade looks like. So we got in around the 108 region, at exactly 108 region, yeah. And then I said initially that our profit target is potentially 123,000 to 124,000 dollars on BTC. Okay. Now you want to be able to know that for me to be able to tell you to actually go ahead and buy BTC at exactly some points ago, you want to know that I definitely saw something. And then I'm going to be breaking down what I saw shortly. Okay. I'm going to be breaking down what I saw shortly. Now, in a sense, one could have said, oh, well, why didn't I just take BTC and then just allow it, just fluctuate? Or why don't I just day trade BTC? Or what is the essence of being able to catch a move like this? I mean, someone else might have made more than this within the same trade. And I mean, that argument is fine. It is literally possible for someone else to have made more than I have made during this trade. But something is different between each of everyone who is literally trading. Okay. Now, what is different is for me in a trade like this, I have a reason for it, and that is because I want to be able to refine my skill, know that I can hold trade for a very long period of time, develop a good psychology towards trading itself, and that way, or to be able to develop that good psychology, you have to put yourself in a condition where you are not comfortable. Okay, allowing your money read over time is not comfortable. There is no comfort in that. I don't know if that makes sense. So you want to be able to know that the main essence for this trade is just to also prune me, put me through the stages I need to go through to become a millionaire trader, someone who can easily handle millions of dollars reading in his account, which is in the future. Now, all these things I just have to undergo through, I have to pass through all these stages. And you that are watching currently, you also have to know that you have to pass through all these stages to potentially be in the game for long. Now, if we observe how this trade played out, you would see that we got in at the 108 mark. Now, you would ask that why was it at exactly 108? Okay. Now, why was it at exactly what 108? I just want you to pay attention to this. Okay. The main essence for the overall market is to be able to see it in a certain way. All right, you need to be able to see it in what, in a certain way, and that certain way involves being able to spot your support levels, your resistance levels, and then also being able to know the overall trend at which the market is moving at. I don't know if that makes sense. So for me now, I automatically know that BTC is on an uptrend, regardless of whether you like it or not, regardless of anybody tell you that BTC is about to sell. overall we can see that BTC is what's pushing to the upside. But I want you to pay attention to something, that each time before it moves to the upside, there is always an occurrence of something. Now, what's the occurrence of something? What is literally one of the most significant things you can see is something that happened here. Okay, pay attention to what happened here now. So what happened here is a significant replica of what potentially happened at this spot. Okay, now in a sense you might not be able to see it that way, but I can easily see it now, which is something I'm going to share with you guys. Now you can see that at first we had a very close to a ranging market. Price did not go below this point, and then price did not go above this point. Now within, from this point here to this point, within this time, I don't know if that makes sense, within this time price did not go above and below that point. Okay, then all of a sudden we had a breakout to the downside. All right, then after that breakout, what happened? Price decided to do what? To shoot to the upside. So from that, now we can easily just go ahead and replicate same thing in what we have here. Now in a sense you might not also see it like that, like I said, but you have to be able to just understand how it works. Okay, so first move we had was what happened here. Okay, within this point. Now you will see that price failed to go below this point significantly, and then in a way to significantly failed to go above this point. Okay, now within this particular cycle. Now then all of a sudden we had a break to the downside. Then what happened? Then price pushed to the upside. Now, expanding this whole thing to a bigger picture, we can see that price failed to go above this high here. Price failed to go above this high, and then in a way, price failed also to go below this low. So now, what we have on the 4-hour time frame is price trading within this region. Okay. Now, I know that once there's a breakout from one of these zones, I'm expecting the opposite to happen. Now, all of a sudden, we had a breakout to the downside. Okay. Now, from this ranging market here. Now, if we have a breakout to the downside, I want to take that as my sweep of liquidity. Okay. And then we all should know that liquidity is actually what moves the market. And then once there's a liquidity grab, there's everything they see for price to use that as a fuel to do what? To move towards where it is supposed to. Now, in this particular, using this analogy, you will find out that it is very simple. Now, does it mean that this was all I looked out for? No. Okay. Another thing I looked out for was potentially the ABC pattern, which I taught everyone at DFS Academy today. I'm sure if they can see it clearly, they will be able to see, if they have practiced or something of sort, they will be able to see the ABC pattern significantly here. Now we add this particular push, aggressive push to this upside. Then we add this particular push to the downside. Then we add another push to the upside. Then we saw that tap into what? Into our inducement, which took out the B. And then we said that when we take out the B, what should we expect? The take profit should be at the C. Can everyone see this? Can anyone who is from DFX physical training, can you already see this significantly on this chart? Can you already see this? If you can, just let me know in the comment section. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing right now. Can you see what I'm seeing right now? So we add price, move up, tap into this point, and then we add our what? Our A formed, okay? Now, we saw price again, create this point here again, which is B. Then now we saw price again, create this point, which is what? Which is what? C, okay? Now, all you have to wait for is what? Price to just take out the B, and then you need to just put in certain confluences as well to be able to catch the exact point you want to take that entry. Because you don't want to be in unnecessary drawdown. You want to take your entries at the tiniest or the most how will I put it now, the most accurate point of interest. Okay. Now, so what other confluence would you have added if you were to use this ABC pattern? You could have easily added now your Fibonacci retracement. For me now, I can take my Fibonacci retracement all the way from this point to the eye of the C. Now, potentially, I pay attention to two parts on the Fibonacci retracement. I pay attention to the 0.5 and the 0.618. Now, we can see that from this now, price respected the 0.618 region, which is where we saw a very, very nice reversal from. Now, you can see that price couldn't even go below that particular point. And then from there, we were able to get a very, very nice, possibly a very, very nice W pattern on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, we're able to get a very, very nice W pattern around that 0.618 region, which was where we got our entry from. So right here now we have our W pattern, which formed multiple times because we had 1, 2, then the third one formed, and then boom, we took our entry, and that was how I took this trade using just these four things I have mentioned. Okay, so first thing I mentioned is understanding that first of all, BTC is in an uptrend, regardless of whether we like it or not. It is in an uptrend, and it is one of the most aggressive currency in the world that moves as fast as possible. But it tells the story why it is moving, and that story is one thing you want to pay very, very close attention to. Okay, so if you look at it carefully, you will see that we had our ABC pattern forming, and price tapped into our B, broke below it, and then we waited for the W pattern on the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement. And that way, we know that our take profit is meant to be what? At the C region. Okay? So that way, we can easily detect where we want to exit this trade without panic. Now, aside strategy, and then aside, you see no indicator in this point. I didn't use any indicators. So in case you are still looking for indicators, you are still a baby trader. You don't need indicators at any point. You don't need indicators at any point. You could just use it as a beginner, yes, but you don't need indicators. Now, from this now, we can easily detect that we have all this in check. But the thing is, what was the significant part for me? The significant part for me, or the lesson I learned significantly, was when we were in a drawdown. Okay. Now, when price started dropping, as at this point here, price started dropping all of a sudden. At that point, I started panicking. Saying, "Whoa, what's going to happen?" And then immediately, I started opening more position. As at this point. Okay, I started opening more position as at this point. Now, I opened my position as at this point based on this inside bar, which is 1, and then based on the W pattern that I saw was forming right here. I don't know if everyone can see this W pattern. You can see another W pattern here. So if you're following me, you would have seen that there are screenshots I shared that showed that my entries were actually at some significant points. Okay, so you can see here. Can you see this entry here? This was the first entry at 108. Then this entry here was where I actually, had my issue. This was where I started panicking. This entry was based on panic. Okay, this entry was based on panic. I was scared that hope I've not actually done what I'm not supposed to do. Okay, by holding this trade through that program. But in that panic mode, I was still able to do what? Let it play out and maximize it. But one thing I didn't do is I didn't open multiple lots more than the very first lot. I hope that makes sense. Now, what that means is even if price would come down, as at this point where it got to, yeah, if price would come down, I would still be running in a significant profit. It might not be substantial. I don't even understand. But along the line, I would know that I am still running in profit because I have multiple positions right at the entry. But if I have only 2 at the top, fine. Those 2 can be in loss, while the others actually run in profit. So if I'm to check the screenshots based on what I sent in the group, let me check. Okay, good. So now you will see that you can see when I opened the position. Okay, you can see this was when we were in an aggressive drawdown. So I opened one here, I opened another one here. Can you see that? Now that way, I automatically was panicking. Those positions were opened based on panic. Do you understand? So if I'm going to be very honest with you, it's a lot. It's a lot really, but you have to be able to just what, just leave it. You can't control the market. You are human. You just gotta do what you gotta do, and that's just trust the analysis and wait for it to what fully potentialize. Okay. So the thing there was while I was in the drawdown, I was just like, you know what, diamond hands, and then just fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. At most, I lose $5,000 or something around that range. Okay, but if I'm to maximize the trade, if I'm to win that trade, then how much am I going to make? In a sense, can we look at the risk to reward? So that means if I'm to lose $5,000 for a risk to reward of 4.38, that means I'm definitely going to make above $20. So now that way I can is $20,000. Sorry, that way I can know in a sense that this trade is fully worth is worth the risk. Is worth the risk. So in a sense, if you don't in like if you don't initially know where your target is, where your stop loss is supposed to be, how much you're risking, and then how you would maintain sanity during drawdowns, then you really need to just put yourself through rigorous tests like this. Because here, imagine you going drawdowns of hundreds of like tens of dollars, like $100, $200, $300, $500, $5,000. At some point, I got to $5,000 loss on this trade because of those two positions I opened at the top. So I had to go ahead and start taking multiple trades on gold again just to be able to push my account from $10,000 into $20,000 to just maintain that position on that trade. Now, you can see I'm being transparent here. There is no need for any other thing to just tell you this is this. That's how it works. Regardless of how you want perfection to be, it will still maintain the same way because we are humans. Okay, so you want to always bear that, put that in mind. Now, one important part is how much did I not close this trade at? Okay, how much did I not close this trade at? That's one of the most important questions right now. Can anybody guess how much I closed the account at? The trade at? Can anybody guess how much I closed the trade at? Can anybody guess how much I closed the trade at? Anybody? $125,000. Okay, so I'm saying 40K, 40,000. 125,000. That's quite a number. $42,000. All right, good stuff. $40,000. Well. How much? How much? How much? I think some people with $40,000 are very close to the exact figures. They're very close to the exact figure. Let's try one more time again. Anybody? Anybody? One more try. Anybody? One more try. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see. So we have 43,000, 45,000. Good stuff, good stuff. You guys are very close. Are very close. 45,000. Good stuff. All right, all right, all right, all right. Good stuff. Okay, guys. So I'm going to share my screen right now, just to show you how much that trade went at. 48,000 is very close. Very close. 45,000. Good stuff. Good stuff. 49,000. That's close. Good stuff. Good stuff. 51,000. That's above it. That's above it. 51,000 is above it. I'm going to reveal it soon. Why do all of you like whole number? Why do you like whole number? Are you guys thinking of psychological levels? It's necessarily it's the market though. The market can give you as far as 50 cents. Do you understand? So don't go with whole number. Don't go with whole number, guys. Don't go with whole number. 49,500. That's a whole number too. That's a psychological level. That's a psychological level, guys, for real. That's a psychological level. 48,235. All right. Similarly got very close to it, actually, because the overall profit we had on that account, if you can see it right now, is about $48,887.88. Okay. So now I want us to walk through each of these trade positions, saying exactly that each of them, the very first entry had a very, very nice, what's it called? A very, very precise entry point, okay? Which is $108,435. That was the entry point we had on the very first one to on the very first four positions or five positions, they were on around $108,000, okay? From 108,435 to 108,191. Now, that way, we add the very first two positions right there. Now, then the last two positions were basically just around the overall move, which is where I had to take another entry, which was when I was panicking, okay? So, which is where we have 111,385, and then we have 111,413. Now, this is just showing a month, right? There are other trades I took on this account just to keep these positions open, okay? I'm going to be very honest with you. It's not that during that drawdown, I wasn't panicking. I was. I hope that makes sense. So you want to be able to have all this in check and then know that if you are losing your money, it's not because you are a bad trader, but if you're following your system, then you should be able to just come back again. So now what's going to happen with this money, which is where the conversation is, right? So we have to split the profit, of course, because there is a $10,000 that came from someone. Now, not necessarily my money. Do you understand? So now we thought that, okay, you have $10,000, then let's put it into this market and let's check out for what is possible. Okay. So now, if you don't have the knowledge, when this opportunity for the capital comes in, you won't know what to do with it. I hope that makes sense. So that means if you have somebody telling you trade forex, yes, you trade forex. So I have $10,000 with you, then I have $10,000 with you. Fine, no problem. So what are you going to do? Just collect the 10,000 and go ahead and start scalping and start trading based on that? No, you just have to know that for your own sake, for my own sake, the best thing I can do is ask the person, can we take 50-50 of this money, and then understand that if we lose 50% of this account, then we will cancel this trade. If we don't, we keep holding this trade. Okay. So the idea is just the skill set. If you have the skill set, the money will come. All right. So you can see how I explained the whole trade to you, and then I also showed you the exact profit. And then now the thing is, I will just be putting the money into real estate. That's just it. So there is no, I'm not bringing it back into the chat. I'm not, once I get my, I think the overall this thing currently is the overall balance, the equity on the account is about, where is it? The equity on the account balance is about 76,000. I don't know if you can see it. So that's 76,000 there. Then you would be removing the what's it called now? The investor's capital, which is $10,000, and then the rest will just be splitted at 50-50. So that way now you can easily understand how it works. So regardless of whatever it is, if you go ahead and take your calculator, multiply $30,000 by this, then you should know how much that means. Do you understand? So this is not the first trade I am doing this, but this is the first trade I am winning this large. Okay, this is the very first trade I'm winning this large. So without any further ado, if you've been able to learn something from this life, if you've been able to learn something tangible from this life, let me know. Can you guys just react to this and let me know if you've been able to learn something from this chat? You can go into the chat box and tell me what you've learned, and then I just want to make sure that we're not just blabbing. Okay, the most important thing is I want you guys to learn something from this particular live stream. So if you've learned something, let's go. Let me see those comments, guys. If you've learned something from this particular live stream, let me see. If you've been able to learn something from this live stream, guys, let's go. You've been able to learn something from this live stream. If you've been able to learn something from this live stream, let me see what you've learned. Honestly, I'm expecting more comments more comments right now. I'm expecting more comments right now. Where's everyone? Where's everyone, guys? Where's everyone? Patience pays, yeah, true. Patience does pays. Patience pays. Patience does pays. That's one important lesson you should have learned from this. That patience does pays. Patience pays. Is there any other lesson you guys have learned so far from this live stream? You learned to believe in your strategy. That's it. You don't want to exit prematurely. Maximize that potential. Do you understand? Maximize that potential. So if somebody tell you he has $1,000 for you now, all you just have to tell him, okay, bro, can you lose $500? Yes, I can lose $500. All right, let's go and look for an opportunity in the market, and then we just forget about the rest. The rest is history. Once you lose $500, everybody go their way. I don't know if that makes sense. The rest is history. You don't have to stress it. You have to just automatically know that audacity and precision is the goal. Okay, you have to be able to command it into existence. If you don't command it into existence, there's definitely nothing for you. Okay, you definitely want to also trust your system. You want to trust your system in everything you do. Where your take profit is, that is where your take profit is. Where your stop loss is, that is where your stop loss is. Where your entry point is, that is where your entry point is. Will you panic? Yes, you will panic. Die. See, it is normal for you to panic. You will panic. Do you understand? But the thing is, always learn that when you panic, you put yourself in more problem. That's why I had to start looking for substitutes, because I was already down half of the capital that I'm not supposed to lose, and I still know the full potential of that trade. I don't know if you guys are learning something yet. I still know the full potential of that trade. Just for me to be down $5,000 because I went ahead to execute more, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have. I should have just have allowed it played out. But in a sense, it came back as profit. But also, what if all I have was that $5,000? What if the other trades I took ended up in loss? I hope that makes sense. Now, we won't be here today. I would have just gone to stay in one mountain and be praying for, you know, some sort of miracles and all. But the idea still remains that you don't want to panic during a trade. If it hits your stop loss, that's fine. You live to trade another day, okay? The investor gets back his $5,000 and then everybody goes their way. But the idea still remains that if you have a skill, if you've sharpened it well, then definitely the money will always come. You just position yourself right where you should be, and that's just it, guys. So without any further ado, I don't know. Do you guys have any other question? Do you guys have any other question? Do you have any question concerning this trade? Do you have any question concerning this trade? Yes, making dollar post is very good for the health, really. All right. So now, do we have any question? Do we have any question, man? Do we have any question? Do we have any question, guys? Do you have any question? So whatever I use this money for is going to be my second investment, pretty much. I don't want to use it to eat. I don't want to use it to flex. I don't want to use it for anything. There are stages to investment, and the first investment is, in as much as I am active and aggressive on the charts, I also want to bring those money back into what? Into investments that won't be very, very aggressive. Investing your money when you make $10,000 into lands, into apartments, into houses is very fair, okay? Rather than going to squander it at the bar or going to, I mean, I'm going to travel at the end of this year though, so I'm going to remove part of the money for traveling, and then I'm just going to do what I have to do, pretty much. But the most important part is majority of the money would be invested into real estate, okay? So I'll be securing a land as well, and this is going to be my second land. So if there's no question for me, then I hope everyone have learned something, and then if you've not learned, go back through the beginning of this video and learn something for yourself, okay? Then I'll catch you guys in the next one, okay? So make sure you enjoy the rest of your evening, and peace.